In this video, I'm going to teach you how to win big when you go to set up your commission split structure. And here's the secret. It's not giving your agents more money. That and more, stay tuned in this video. Hi, I'm Mikesh, one of the co-founders here of Real Estate Game Changers channel, and we're here to share proven strategies and tactics that we use to grow and scale our real estate businesses. So this video is actually a continuation of my last video where I talked about the 7 pillars to recruiting real estate agents, one of them being commission splits. And I said we would do another video, that's this video, and we would dive deep into commission split structures and what you need to know. And I'm imagining if you're watching this video now, it's because you either want to start a team or you already run a team and you're questioning what your value proposition is. And that's really step one of this is like, what is it that you are trading of value for your current split or the split that you want to have? And, analyzing that and really understanding like, what is that proposition here? Are we maybe not giving enough value for what we're asking for in return? Because I think when you get the commission split structure correct, it's a benefit to both the business owner and the agent. And I think that there's a lot that goes into it, but we need to keep some things in mind. And it all starts with, number one, what are you trading of value for your split? So really start to ask yourself, what is that? And ask yourself, is there ways that I could add more value, maybe even add more value easily with some things that you already have access to or things that you have going on in order to get that commission split to be higher. And that's really going to be what's most important to your agent is going to be the value you offer more so than the commission split. And the way that I'll help you realize that that's true is think about it this way. There's probably somebody in your marketplace that's offering a higher commission split than you. Yet when we start to look at those other teams or brokerages that offer the most amount of split to the agent, what we often find is that those agents don't make the most money. And in my market, I know it was true where I had probably one of the highest commission splits of anybody in my marketplace, yet my agents consistently earn more money than almost any other agents on any other teams. Why is that? How can that be? Because when you get the commission structure, the commission split correct, and you are offering a lot of value, even if you're taking in a lot of money, it usually means if done correctly, you can add more value than anybody else, and both you and your agents will win in that scenario. The other thing I want to keep in mind is commission split changes. Far too often, what I see people making too many changes, meaning they have one thing and then they change it, and then maybe an agent comes to them and says, hey, I want something different, and then they change it again. And those continuous changes create chaos and disruption in your business. So what I want you to do if you're watching this video is really think both short and long term. Where is that commission split now? Where will that be if you add all the things you want to be and all the things you want to offer, and try to get it right now? Make fewer changes to your commission structure and you'll have a lot less headaches. So as we start to, wrap our heads around what is going to be our value offering, what are going to be our commission splits, I want to share with you a couple mistakes that I've seen, 3 in particular that are the most common mistakes that I see people make when it comes to commission split structure. Number 1, you give them too big of a split. And while that might sound great on the front end and it might make you feel like you're going to be able to recruit agents more easily, and sometimes, I've been there myself, we have this one prospect, this one agent that we really want to recruit, and we're like, man, if we could get this one person, it's really going to blow up my business, it's going to be good for me. And we start to get really outside of what the parameters of running a good business are, and we start to make promises or give commission splits to this person that really don't make sense long term. And what ultimately happens in that scenario is you do something that you're not going to be happy with, and then in a short period of time, you don't either want to help that agent like you said you would, you don't want to give that same value anymore, or you want to change it, and then that creates disruption. So you've got to have a commission split that's founded on business principles that's going to work long time. And by the end of this video, I'll share some examples with you of what those structures might look like so that you can start to develop your own strategy. But don't go too high on the commission split. What I used to tell my people when I sat down with them is, look, we have the split we have in order to run a good business and generate profit. And profit is what protects the opportunity for both you and for me. If we don't make enough profit, we won't be able to weather the storms or the seasonality throughout the year, and we won't be able to continue to pour into these lead generation pillars that we've put in place for you guys to benefit from. So it's really important that you have a good profit model, and you can't just be running these things at break even thinking that, oh, if I run at break even, it's still good because I have these other people and I'll do these more sales and my market will think I'm awesome. It doesn't work that way, guys. For most teams and small brokerages, you can't compete at that level. You can't have a top producer that's break even for you for the sake of recruiting a bunch of people. Other brokerages do that recruit hundreds of agents. But even then, they're running a very fragile, very volatile model that has very low profit point. And I don't think you want to go into that and enter into that as a team leader or small broker owner. The second biggest mistake I see is agents who are offering tiered commission plans. Now, let me tell you why tiered commission plans to me don't work. Because let's say you have somebody, let's say you're running a team or a small brokerage of 10 or 15 people, and you're generating leads and you're dispersing those leads. Well, if you have somebody that's on a tiered plan, or everybody in your company's on a tiered plan, what tends to happen is as those people tier out, they start to earn higher commission percentages. That can really impact the seasonality of your business, but it also creates this challenge for you as the team leader. Let's say that you have somebody that's on the highest tier and somebody that's on the lowest tier because of production. And now all of a sudden you have an opportunity, and the best person for that opportunity, let's just say, was the person on the highest tier. But now you're de-incentivized to give it to that person because they're on a higher commission split, when you could hand it over to somebody else that would be able to close that deal on a much lower commission split. So when my top producers would come to me because they'd hear about these things in other brokerages or in other markets, I'd say, listen, I don't believe in a tiered compensation structure, because if we enter into a structure like that, you're one of my top performers, you're going to de-incentivize me from giving you deals when you hit those targets. I think what works better and what is better for the culture and community of the organization as a whole is that we're all on the same plan, and then you can continue to do sales and you can continue to excel amongst your peers without any worry or retribution that, oh, you're not going to get deals because as your commission split increases, I'm de-incentivized to share those opportunities with you. And then the last third thing that I see is the biggest mistakes when it comes to compensation plan structures is what we call special deals. So-and-so's been with you for a long time, they're on a special deal, or maybe you have a family member that works for you and they have a special deal. I've never believed in this, guys. When I ran my team or my small brokerage, I always had the same deal for everybody. And that black and whiteness of it, that clarity, I think that simplicity is what allowed us to scale and continue to have success and replicate that success with new agents over time. When you start to get into these sweetheart deals, you're gonna create more accounting work for yourself, more headache, and you're gonna have this, cloak of secrecy around how people get paid that's gonna be very uncomfortable for everybody. And I think it can lead to, limited culture, limited success paths for people, and it really doesn't do you any good. And when you look at the numbers and you look at those scenarios, I think they hurt you more than they help you. Here's what I found works best. One unified plan for everybody, meaning everybody's on the same compensation plan for the role that they're in. Now, you might have a different plan if they're primarily working with buyers or working with sellers, or you might have an agent dedicated just to sellers, and those plans could vary from seller agent to buyer agent, but it should be the same for one and the same for all. There's three key things that I think really accelerate a good comp plan foundation. And the first one of those is challenges. So it's cool to set up challenges. So if your agents want an opportunity to make more money, great, create a challenge for them. Maybe that's a March Madness challenge. And we used to take our sales team and we used to divide them up into two groups. And we would pick a leader for one group and a leader for the other group. And we would do it, like outside recess style, and one leader could pick one agent, the other leader could pick another, and they would pick teams, and then they would lead those teams, and they would lead the charge of accountability and prospecting that went into those teams, and we would run it for a period of time, say for the month of March, for March Madness, and then we would have really cool cash prizes and incentives for the winners. So if you were the winner and you had the most amount of contracts on your team or the most amount of sales volume on your team, everybody on the team might get a cash incentive like $1,000 each and a dinner out to a fancy restaurant. So these challenges or incentives can really boost up the productivity of your team if done correctly, and reward your team members for work well done and give them some additional cash in their pocket. The second thing you can do to accelerate or enhance your existing comp plan is offer cash bonuses, offer a bonus structure. So, if you're looking at your business from month to month and you really want to drive more sales, one of the ways to do that for your, top performers and your people that are really getting after it is offer a cash incentive. And what we used to do at my team is we'd say, hey, if you sell over $1 million in volume in the calendar month, then you're going to get a cash bonus. And if you sell over 1.5 million, you're going to get an even greater cash bonus. And what those looked like for us was we'd pay out $500 in cash bonuses if they did over $1 million, and we'd pay out $1,000 in cash bonuses if they did over 1.5 million in that calendar month. And what's really cool about that is we used to do it publicly, and we do it at our weekly sales meeting. So after the first week of the month, we'd look back at the last month, and anybody who hit a bonus, they would get cash money in the weekly meeting. And we made a big deal about it. Sometimes we'd make it rain and we'd get $1,000 in $1 bills. Now the bank teller did look at us a little bit questioning when we go up there and get all these $1 bills. But it was so much fun, y'all, to go into the meeting and make it rain on people. Or we'd get $100 bills and have crisp $100 bills and we'd lay them all out. But we do this publicly and we'd really acknowledge them for their production, give them that recognition that they deserve, but also pay them publicly. And for a while we used to call it chew money because we had a bunch of ladies that were hitting these bonuses. They're like, this is my money, I'm going to buy shoes. And it was just money that, people could use to buy their significant others gifts or just have in their pocket. Because, this day and age, so much of our money, we're desensitized to it. It just goes into the bank account, direct deposit. The whole family has access to it. We pay our bills. But these cash bonuses became the best money that these guys would earn because it was their money, it was cash, it was in their hands, and they could do whatever they wanted with it or surprise anybody they wanted with a gift. And we just found this to be very impactful and effective, allowing us to take the attention off of the pressure of commission adjustments or commission increases to our comp plan and really just love on them in other ways that we found to be even more beneficial than increasing the commission split. And the third thing that I found to be most effective, and I touched on it early, was unilateral plans. So just having the same comp plan for every person and never making, any modifications or deviations to this. Now, you've got to stick to your guns because people will approach you and they'll say, hey, John, in this situation or in that situation, could I do this or could we do this differently? And my answer was always no, unless they exposed an area of my business where there wasn't clarification. So if they came to me with a specific situation and that situation wasn't addressed by our independent contractor agreement or our specific comp plan structure, then I would usually give it to them and give them the benefit of the doubt and take the onus on me that I hadn't allocated or provided clarity in that area. So our independent contractor agreement became really, really tight over the years because it was developed and augmented along the way with certain scenarios so that as time went on, it became more and more bulletproof. And I'm happy to share a copy as an example with you here. If you go to my show notes, click the link below and you can grab a copy of what mine was. Now, I told you before the end of this video, I would give you some clarity and some insight into what my comp plan was and also why it was that way. I think the why is just important as the what. So when we left RE/MAX after being with them for 5 years, the structure that we had at RE/MAX was that RE/MAX took 10% off the top, and then the agents on my team had a split arrangement with me. So that split arrangement would vary depending on the lead source, and I'll get into that in a second. But when I started my own independent real estate brokerage in 2014, I came from RE/MAX where that 10% was already coming off the top. And what I told my team was this. I said, hey guys, right now we're at RE/MAX, we get what we get, it is what it is. They take 10% off the top. I'm thinking about starting my own real estate brokerage, and if I did, here's what I would do with that 10% off the top for all of you. And I cast this vision about what our office would be like, what we would have access to, what kind of tools and tech we would have. And everybody was excited about what I was gonna do with that 10% as opposed to what we were getting from RE/MAX. So when we moved into my independent brokerage, we took 10% off the top of every dollar that came in, whether it was a commission, whether it was from their sphere of influence commission, whether it was a referral. Every dollar that came in, even if it was a bonus on a new construction, 10% off the top, because that's what RE/MAX did. So we just kind of like adopted that into our independent brokerage, and that's why we had 10% coming off the top. Then if it was a buyer transaction, we would pay out 40%, 50%, or 60%, depending on the lead source and how it came about. So if it was their SOI, we'd give them 60%. If it was a company generated deal, we'd give them 50%. And if it was a company generated deal where we actually handed them the buyer, like in the case of we list a property and they're also gonna buy and they're already disposed to working with us, then we would pay the agent 40%. And that worked really, really well for us for many years. In fact, the most success I ever had at scale with agents was on that exact comp plan structure. We would bring agents in that had little to no experience, and by the time they left us, they'd be making 6 figures or multiple 6 figures in commission on that commission split structure. Now, if it was a sell side commission, we had dedicated people that worked just on the sell side as listing agents, and anything from the company would go through them, and anything from the agent's SOI would get passed off to them for a referral fee. So the agent would collect the 25% referral fee to pass over their SOI deal, and then we would pay out 25% to our selling agent for handling that. Now you got to understand that that comp plan seems low, or the split seems low to the agent, but all that agent had to do was go on an appointment, and they had a full staff at their disposal. They had a courier to deal with their signs and lock boxes and property checks. They had an assistant that would help them prepare the file before and after the appointment. They had stagers, photographers, and they didn't have to organize or do any of that because we had staff to handle that. So they're really going on the listing appointment, and then they're negotiating the contracts when they come in. All very important stuff, but the 25% commission split allowed us to build an army of support around them, and they were actually the highest paid agents on our team year after year after year. So again, sometimes the idea is that, to make more money, we have to have a higher comp plan or a higher commission split, when in reality, my agents that made the most got paid the least. But because they got paid the least, we were able to reinvest into the business and the structure and support that they had and lead generation that was available to them so that they could sell more. So that's how we paid it out on the listing side. And if the listing partner that we had an SOI deal, we'd give them 35% instead of 25%. So that's generally how it worked. You'll see that in my independent contractor agreement as well, which I'll include in the show notes for your reference. So as an overarching statement and in conclusion to this video, I would say that when it comes to commission splits, I like to keep in mind that simplicity scales and complexity fails, guys. Don't have these elaborate, complex comp structures. They don't actually drive more business. They don't actually change the behavior of their agents. If anything, a lot of times when it gets complex and confusing, it diminishes the morale and decreases effectiveness of what you're trying to accomplish. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you missed my previous video on the 7 pillars of agent recruiting, go back and watch that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if there's anything that we can do to support you, feel free to go ahead and click the link below to grab a free strategy session with you. And we'll be happy to dig into your comp plan and give you some good direct feedback on what you have going on and ways that you can improve it. So we look forward to seeing you on the next video.